last fly in the streamer series here I'd like to show you is what I call Stalcup Leech. This is probably one of my favorite lake fishing flies, whether it's for trout, bass, pike, or whatever. And it's about as simple as you can get. It's kind of patterned after a fly that was made popular by Scotty Sanchez called the double bunny. Except this time we're going to use squirrel. And we're going to glue it along the side of the hook shank instead of on top and on the bottom. That way you have a nice flat, as you can tell, leech pattern. The reason I like to use the squirrel is that you can probably see is just look at the different colorations you get here, especially right at the tips, and then just how flat it is on the top and then on the bottom. Also, a good variation of this is just to put a gold bead at the front of it, as well as a bead in front of that mohair leech. That way you have two different types of patterns to tie. Let me show you how to do this. We'll get our hook in here. And this is a 93-95. And we'll attach some monofilament. All you need is put a thread base down on the hook shank. And you can use whatever thread you want. You want it to be fairly heavy for tying in the squirrel hair. And we'll get up to the front. And now we're ready to do a couple steps, and then we're done with this fly. And take some squirrel hair. Let's see, here we go. We'll make this one a rust color. For a rust colored leech, then I'd be putting a copper bead up here on the front. Now before I tie this in, what I'm going to do is trim that hide at kind of an angle, right at the tip. That way I have a nice tie-in area. Now I'll just lay it along the side of the shank of the hook away from me. Let's take a loose wrap to begin with and then cinch down. And then tie it down. And it's like so. Then I'll pull it back to however long I'm going to want it. I don't want it a whole lot longer than the hook shank. That way I don't get as many short strikes. Cut it off. And we'll cut another angle on our squirrel hair here. And we'll lay it on the side towards us. Do a little loose wrap, cinch down. And then just make sure it's tied down real good. Now if you had a bead on here, you'd be doing this right behind the bead. Take off our thread. And that's basically all the tying there is to this fly. Next thing we're going to do is glue it together. To do that, what I use is goop. So we'll grab our goop here. And we'll take our bodkin. And we'll start squeezing some of this stuff out of here. I'm going to clear out some of that old stuff. Get it out. There we go. There's some good fresh goop. And we'll put some right on the hide away from us, like so. You just want to put a layer of this down the hide away from you and on the one towards you. Just get some in here, just like so. Get it all the way to the tip. And we'll do the same thing on the side towards us. And if you're having problems getting the glue and the hair intermixed a little bit, little trick is to wet down the fur a little bit before you start gluing it. All you got to do is put a little spit on your fingers and just stroke the hair away. And that way it helps to keep it away from the glue. And we'll just come back a little bit more here. And that's good enough. We got more than enough glue on here. But the nice thing about using goop is it'll peel right off any of the excess that we don't want. Now what we're going to do is you take the one away from you. You just kind of push it up against the hook shank. Then you do the same thing on the side towards you. And I got that kind of at an angle in there. There we go. And then you just continue squeezing straight back, making sure the hides come together. You want to make sure that goop squishes out on the top, and you want to flip it over, make sure it's squishing out on the bottom too. That way you know you have plenty of glue in there, and it won't come apart. Just like so. Now for the excess, what you do is just come in and wipe it off, kind of peel it off. Get a little more of that out of there. I mean, it's a simple little fly to tie, as you can tell. Even if you don't have a whole lot of tying experience, really all you need to know on this one is how to get the thread on the hook and how to use a whip finisher, and you're done. And if you're wanting to tie really big ones, which are real popular for pike, then you can go to using rabbit. But for your smaller leeches, is what I like to use a lot of, then I like to use this squirrel. Plus you just get that really nice modeling effect. And you make it any color that you want to. The most popular colors that I like to use this fly in is, well, this one, which is rust. And then in an olive color, black. And then what really makes a real pretty one is if you use the natural red fox squirrel. That's also a real good pattern. Then we'll just come in and trim this last little piece of squirrel here to the same length as the first one, and that's it. The fly is done. About the only thing left to do is, if you're using some white squirrel hair, as you can see, well, let me pull it out of this bag here. The hide's white, so if you have that going down the middle here, you can have a white center. All you got to do is take a magic marker and make it whatever color you want to. And that's basically it. I mean, great little fly. I mean, that thing just has so much movement to it, especially if you put a bead head right on front of it. One of my favorite lake patterns.